allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Director, can you call the roll call, please?
Yes, I can. D. Edwards. Present. A. Forbes.
Recording in progress.
Reverend Nunn. I don't see him. Okay. B. Reyes. J. Rodriguez.
Yeah.
E. Seitzman.
Present?
M. Testa. Present. C. Vega.
Present. Okay. I would like to advise those present the notice of this regular meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken has been provided to the public in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this regular meeting has been scheduled for Thursday, June 18, 2026, was given by publication of the meeting notice of the authority with amendments as necessary, and was sent to the Star Ledger on Tuesday, June 9, 2026, as a notification to the general public of the meeting. Meeting sent to the City Clerk of Hoboken on Tuesday, June 9, 2026, with a copy of the agenda to be posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, Hoboken Library, and Hoboken Police Department, and posted on the authority website on Tuesday, June 9, 2026. I direct the minutes of this meeting to state that I have announced that the adequate notice of this meeting has been given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. Thank you. The chair is unable to be here tonight. I am filling in as vice chair. Director, can you please give your report?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Finance Committee met on June 2nd, speaking about a range of issues that we'll probably get to before the end of this meeting. Sure. Anything else you'd like to say as the chair, or anyone else on that right now? Resident concerns from last meeting. We did address the resident concerns from a resident living at 501 Marshall in her unit, including a possible washer upstairs.
Sorry, including possible.
I will slow up. What's that?
I just missed including possible.
Including a possible washing machine upstairs, washer upstairs. She did mention that her building needs a walk-in shower. We'll also mention this later, but that we're preparing the bid package for a number of walk-in showers, probably 20 of them, that we can then just go in and start doing walk-in showers for a number of people. Somebody mentioned that the violations of our non-smoking policy are an issue. Absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed. We asked that residents report incidents. We can't see all of them, so we need folks to speak up. If your neighbor is smoking, if folks downstairs, please, and it can be confidential, but please tell us so we can start taking action as much as we can. I notices to cease toward those residents. In common areas, we do have camera coverage, and we do have a new police enforcement officer, which I'll be introducing shortly, that will be able to view violations. We're having somebody now with this police enforcement officer that's going to have more time to look for things like that, smoking, dogs, and take action as we get complaints in. Regarding the distribution of the new trespassing policy, we did distribute it to residents, but we're going to do it again with our newsletter. And with the newsletter coming out in July, we're going to have a whole section on kind of the trespassing ban section that's going to be kind of informing not only with another copy of the policy, but also how it can affect residency. Make sure that folks know that if somebody's on that ban list and you're having them come to your apartment, that could be a police violation, right? Now, the lists of people that are banned are going to go out and be posted. So there's going to be a list that you will see, and we're planning on sending that list out as well with our newsletter on a regular basis. So we'll be able to see the names of the folks that are banned. So we want everyone to pay attention to that because we're making a lot of progress there. We've worked really hard with the police to get a really good system, we think, and folks are getting banned more than ever. Folks that we don't want on our property. If you're going to come on our property and sell drugs, cause problems, we're going to say you're not welcome here. Again, in that policy, there's a right to a hearing, there's a right to a lot of different things. You can come in if you don't agree, but we're definitely enforcing that. Our consulting technician is working to resolve our remote unlock issues at 560 and other buildings. We had a telephone line went out at 560 particularly recently over the past 3 days.
Still out.
Yeah, so they're working on it. They are working on it. I'm not yet convinced that the expense of a total new system can be funded this year, but we are working towards seeing if we can do some remedial actions to get the system working better. A statement was made regarding the RAD board meetings being held in the evenings and also open to all residents. That decision is one that is up to the RAD board. They're their own board, and they make that decision on when they meet. I don't make that decision. So that's something that they decide on, and they have decided on when they want to meet and how they want to meet. On resident charges, any resident that feels they were unjustly charged, again, I said this last time, may appeal the charge of their manager. If you feel our maintenance mechanic charged you for something you shouldn't have, feel free to appeal it. If dissatisfied, pick it up to Ms. Villafane. If that doesn't work, meet with me, and we'll sit down and review any charges you think weren't correct. Regarding the charges of labor for resident-caused damages, it is proper to charge a resident for the material and labors. If your visitor, family member, somebody comes in and punches a hole in the door, you get charged for that. And you get charged for the labor and the material for that door that you or your guest damaged. So that's typical. Regarding resolutions 2026-05 and 04, a question came up. These having to do with 2 maintenance contracts. It was asked if the cost increase in the contracts would be a constant increase, and the answer is no. They were one-time increases for some unforeseen work. A resident from 320 Harrison complained that she was getting notices of bringing information she had already submitted. This is the Nan McKay issue of folks submitting and then getting a letter and then submitting again and getting a letter back. Yes, it's different, but in this case, for example, the person that came, she hadn't submitted her stuff. And, you know, so if you're not submitting your stuff or you're not checking your mail, you might get a letter and 2 weeks later they contact you again. Said, look, we contacted you 2 weeks ago, sent you a letter. You know, you've got to keep up with that as a resident. And that's federal law. We have to be submitting that information in order for you to be a public housing resident. This is crucial. And I would like to, again, verify with everybody that Nan McKay, as a consulting group, is held to the same standards of confidentiality that the Housing Authority is. They are required by federal law to keep things confidential. It's not going out to the public in any way, shape, or form. That stuff is secure. Our systems are secure. Mr. Angel over there, make sure our systems are secure, that we were following proper protocols, so as much as we can, we're resistant to hacking, resistant to stealing anything off of our systems, and we feel very secure in that. A question was brought up about the food pantry and their food. We don't run the food pantry, so we supply the space, but we can't address how they're giving out their food. The dog problem also continues to be a priority for management, just like smoking. Please report. If you see somebody, much as you can, with their dog pooping on the lawn, and or even worse, not cleaning it up, please get with your manager and say, look, yesterday at 2:15 in the afternoon, right out there in front of Adams, there was somebody that had their dog defecate and left. So we can go back to the cameras and try to find out who that was. Now, of course, it's often hard to find out who that was, particularly if they're not one of our residents. But we work on it as much as we can. And again, that's one of the reasons we brought on a new position of a lease enforcement officer. So I ask again that residents not be afraid of that recertification. That was brought up regarding Fox Hill again. Regarding the balcony repairs at Fox Hill, specifications for those repairs are being developed and should begin shortly. We'll be reviewing those at the Fox Hill meet and greet that's coming up. Two things on that though. On the current contract, there's a limited amount of concrete column repair, but it's not going to get everything. So we're going to look to get everything on the next contract. So that's coming. Well, it's under the it's with the architects now. They're developing, doing the surveys of everything that needs to be done.
Excuse me. Can everybody please be quiet? We can't hear the direction. Thank you.
So yeah, so that's. I'll think good chance we'll have it out for bid in July, and then bids come back through in August, somewhere in there. We want to do it right. Other issues beyond answering resident questions from last time, I do want to say that since the last board meeting, I've had this dark cloud, right? I had COVID. I was quarantined for 10 days. In addition, a family health crisis and a FATA training conference had to be out of the office more than usual. I want to thank everyone for bearing with me this past month. I was in and out quite a bit. HUD visited us this past month. As many of you know, we received a low score on our public housing assessment system, and we're having a squabble with HUD. I appealed that score because we don't agree with it. And the basic issue was one of we submitted our audit on time, then we did an audit correction, and they did not take our audit correction time as the submittal time. And we don't agree with that. We submitted it on time. We brought that up strongly with our folks from HUD that came to see us, and they totally agree with us. So they're going to go up the chain and try to push our appeal. Now, once that appeal is done, our score is going to skyrocket because the audit submission takes points off of our management, takes points off of our financial, takes points off of everything. So we're hoping for better news on that. And they understand that. Now, the HUD visit included a HUD regional director, the HUD regional director, which is pretty high up the chain. That happened because I think our HUD engineer, our former HUD engineer, he's now the division director, Bob, really wanted to show how well the Hoboken Housing Authority is doing. And so he invited the regional director as well as many of his staff to come along with him. We had the regional director, the Newark director of public housing, the folks we work every day, the portfolio management specialist, the division director, their general engineer, and their financial analyst. We started out in my office, had a very good general discussion over where we are, what we're doing. They really wanted to see our redevelopment plans. Well, we did a whole presentation with Frank on where we are in redevelopment. Then we went and toured. And I think it's fair to say, they were walking around going, look, we've been at housing authorities over and over again, and you guys really got it together. Compared to other housing authorities. I would say, go to some of our neighbors. Some are good too. So, but anyway, it was a very successful meeting, and I think we all got on the same page. It's important to do that now and then. We have submitted the 2 applications for CDBG funding through the city. We're still waiting to hear on funding. I really think we're going to get it from my discussions with folks, but they haven't officially announced yet. On staffing, Maria DeJesus, one of our managers from Jackson Garden, resigned on good terms. We love her, she loves us, going on other things. We thank her for her service and wish her the best in her new endeavors. We are working on a plan for her replacement, and we will be making a formal announcement of who's going to officially replace her once Yesenia and I figure out how we're going to replace her and who's going to replace her. So we're going to be doing some interviews. So if you know anyone that wants a position like a manager, please have them come in. Regarding that assistant to Yesenia that we've been talking about, we promoted Jimena in-house. So congratulations, Jimena, to a new position, which is the assistant to Yesenia, our Director of Management. And in turn, we hired from outside a new position of Police Enforcement Officer. We welcome Maritza to our crew. So welcome. And again, Maritza is going to be not only keeping her eyes on cameras, but really tracking our eviction processes. Like when we get a complaint in, she'll be tracking that complaint. Now we're getting 2 complaints, 3 complaints. When can we hand it over to this guy? What the status is, how long has it been with the attorney, how long has it been since it got filed in court. She's going to be able to track those very carefully as we go into the future, and we really welcome her to be. I think she's got great skills and she'll do well with us. So we did promote on an assistant manager position Mercedes Castillo from the maintenance clerk. She's over in maintenance to an assistant manager position. So now we're looking for an open position in maintenance, which is a maintenance clerk. Answering phones, typing in the work orders, doing all that good work over the maintenance shop. Apply if you wish. The assistant to the CFO, we're holding off a little bit. We're going to be coming to you shortly with our next year's budget. And before I do that hire, we'll talk more about it, but we want to make sure that the money's there, that we're ready to proceed with that position right away. We still need the position, but at the same time, we need to be very budget conscious this year. As many of you know, HUD cuts, as well as huge increases in insurance costs. Huge in insurance costs. So we will see where we land. We're shopping our insurance this year. So we met with our insurance company this afternoon. So he's got a couple options he's going to give us because basic health insurance for our employees, we had a huge increase last year, and they're predicting a huge increase for the coming year out of our current plan, which is the Joint Insurance Fund for New Jersey. We've been with them for years, but these increases, we can't sustain them. We just can't sustain it. We need to find a better way. So we're going to be working on that and reporting back to you over the next couple of months. We would like to be able to, if we go to a new plan, we'd like to bring that to you probably August, September for an approval. So we're not going to be sitting on this. We need to move because we would love to have a new plan in place by the beginning of our fiscal year, which is October 1. So we're working on that right now. So we do have a manager position and a maintenance clerk open. We are working with Local 97 on an issue that they have with our proposed personnel policy. If you remember, we're just about ready to bring it to you, and the union had a little problem with it. So we've been going back and forth with them a little bit. I think we'll work that out soon. Public and Housing Forward, we do have an update from Mr. Merchant and a handout.
Yes.
Monthly development report.
Thank you, Director. I want to start by saying last month we had I think a board meeting the night after our presentation, and that presentation took a few days to kind of marinate and get the feedback. I still want to again thank everybody who participated, and I think it was a success all around. We want to continue to do those, and please keep that on your radar. Sometime in September, we will have then our next follow-up, so keep that in mind. We met RPM and the Housing Authority together as H4, presented to Housing for Hoboken this month, and we kind of went through all the numbers and where we were, and I want to thank Commissioner Dave for his input on putting that together. I think we have a format that's going to work for that meeting. As we're going through it, what I want to let everybody know, the top of the line is that the project is is moving and we're on status, on target. Our next steps, as we're working through, is we did get our phase 1 environmental, that came back okay, so we can move. We did our traffic study. We're working with the city right now on final points on the RDA, the redevelopment agreement with the city, which will then kind of have us almost ready to go in front of the planning board. The planning board is where we will get some approvals that we need to start moving forward next year with the beginning of the construction. We are keeping an eye on NJHMFA's cap costs, as that's an issue not just for our project, for any project in New Jersey, as the cost of goods have skyrocketed. We are confident that there will be adjustments with the NJHMFA, and that NJHMFA, and if there are any hiccups along the way, I'm sure we will work through that as well. But I just want to keep you guys in touch with that. So technically, where we are right now, and what I want, as the director mentioned, we were in Chicago for the fire convention, and I think the one thing that I took back that I'd like to share with everyone here is, why are we here, right? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we at this meeting? Everything that we're doing and all the effort that we're doing is to help these families here at the Housing Authority. So I would like to encourage everyone at the Housing Authority from every department and with the commissioners to dedicate this year to kind of highlighting the why for us and what that why means for each one of us, and kind of like focus on that and start to really understand that what we're doing here with the redevelopment, we can put up a building that looks great, that comes on budget, and that's great, but the real change is going to come if we can provide upward mobility as we're doing that, and finding ways to make sure that as we're giving them a new place to live, that they're having new opportunities that maybe didn't exist before. So in order to get that done, I would like resident services, I would like from policy, from every department, management, to work with our residents to gather as much information as possible. So not just a regular survey. We do surveys all the time and we don't get responses, right? We really need some information that we could use to help bring what you need next. For example, just to have a really good understanding of who we have in high school, or did someone drop out? What can we do to help someone who dropped out? Have markers that we can look at, a way that we can kind of have a pre-detection system where we can see that a family might be struggling 6 months down the road before they get there, so that we can start to identify. I know that we're going to be talking about our 10 accounts receivable in a little bit, and yes, we'll get there and we'll get repayments, but if we can catch some of the families before they get to that point, that would be really helpful. And, I think that together we can put those numbers that they're looking for, because if we can show them the numbers, there are resources out there, but we need to show them who we are and what we're up against. So as far as the redevelopment, I just want you to keep that in mind. There's the numbers that we're working on, and then there's the why. So let's think about the why.
Thank you, Frank. I'd just like to add to that a little bit regarding the conference. And the ideas nationally that we are in sync with, but things we haven't talked a lot about. Us being the co-developer here is our first step in creating more housing for low and moderate income families. So your grandkids and your kids will not only you, as you live longer, but they will have expanded opportunity, because our mission will always be low and moderate income housing, always. But being a co-developer will give us the opportunity to start doing things maybe not under HUD's purview all the time, but low and moderate income housing. And some of the housing authorities that have been across the country that have been at this for 25 years now We've only been at this for 6, right? They're showing that. And that's part of their example of where they can be after they got through their first development and in their second and third, of having that ability to go out and work on their own without a HUD subsidy all the time, or use different subsidies, or use low-interest loans to build low-income housing. And that's part of our future, and that's part of what we want to do here when we get to the other side. Thank you, Frank. That was kind of my excitement coming out of there, talking to those folks. Project-based vouchers, no big news. We continue to meet with residents in my office. Lunch in yesterday, great stuff. Fox Hill Housing, the Housing for Hoboken trustees met on June 4th. The current round of capital improvements are underway at Fox Hill. The storm doors are virtually complete. We've got a little bit more to go, right? But we're doing all new storm doors at Fox Hill. They're almost done. And there's some concrete work that's being done too. Like them?
Love it.
So that's happening. And we are developing that plan for the next round of capital improvements, and we'll be back at my next meet and greet to talk with residents, because we're going to have some decisions. How much concrete work, how much other work goes in there, right? I do believe CDBG is going to fund our cameras there, but if they don't, then we're going to have to talk about that. That's for the Fox Hill meetings. We do have a report that summarizes our major projects, just a few of them. We've been talking about our new dumpster project for a long time. Believe it or not, it's almost here. The dumpsters are delivered. So within next month, week of June 22nd, we're hoping, they're going to be starting to be installed. The city's still got to confirm some of that information with us, but those are the dumpsters on our family sites that are contained, that they're not open, they're rodent resistant, and they're going to replace all of those open trash cans that we have along Jackson and back along 6th Street and back along 5th Street. So when you put something in there that a rodent can't get in there. And so that's one of our main pushes this year. They're also going to be trash and recycle on each one. And the city has made sure that their trucks are able to pull right up, grab that, empty it, put it back, make it happen. So we're excited about that project. We do have a window and glass repair contract. Boiler replacements are in process. Contractor has removed old boilers at all locations, and we're starting to install the new ones. There's 7 of them that are going in. You may forgive us for any noise you may have heard. Not too many people here from the family developments today, but we're making a little noise down there. Dear old Hoboken, built on a swamp. And then we put a concrete pad, and 70 years ago they put a boiler on top of it, and now the concrete pads are going like this, right? So we've had to jackhammer these pads out, and got a call or two. But short term. We only got one left. Then we're done with that noise. Adams Garden picnic area renovation is in the bidding phase. It's really done. On that, we're scheduled for a bid opening on June 26th. Roof replacement at 655 6th Street is also being opened on June 26th. It was observed that a concrete column in the basement at Andrew Jackson had shifted and wasn't level. We had an engineer in. We're currently in the bidding phase on that project to repair that column. I mentioned earlier the ADA roll-in showers. And then we've got a list of future projects. Increase our pest control, parking lot relocation for next year, Fox Hill in the next phase, and our HHA callback system, if we can afford it this year. So that's our special projects report. Management, we have been consumed with the Nan McKay initiative, eviction issues, repayment agreements, lease enforcement, file maintenance. We do have the snapshot for you as attachment 2. We do ask, I do ask, that residents understand, and I know this is hard, but if there's somebody in your building that's misbehaving and they're consistently causing trouble, if you're reporting it and it's on our radar, be assured we're taking action. Court action often takes some time, and I can't say to you that we've got a pending court action. There's confidentiality on some of this. So, as commissioners, you can certainly talk to me, and I'll certainly tell you where we are, but I can't go out and just say, that guy you're complaining about, do you know that we've already... So, call us and make sure we're doing it. And I love accountability, but understand a lot of people think, well, they've been there for 4 months causing this one. First we need all the evidence, so we need folks to come in with evidence. Second, we then need enough evidence that a judge is going to actually pull the trigger and allow us to do it, and then go through that process. So that's our management report. Maintenance, I do have a report, as I usually do, on the elevator maintenance and plumbing work that we do day to day. We have been doing special attention this week to the rodent issues here at Adams, and other places, but at Adams. I think some folks here have seen some videos. We think part of that problem is the next door neighbor building. We have talked to the city about that, and they're going to be taking a look at that as well, because that grass is high and it's a great breeding ground. So we're going to work on that as hard as we can. We have increased our traps here. All the playground areas throughout our sites have been cleaned, disinfected. Painting and stairwells has been completed at 501, 540, and 320 Marshall. Only 655 and 560 on our 7 stories are remaining to be painted. So we're slowly working our way through that. Whenever we get a day or two where we're not getting a lot of work orders, send our guys over to paint, and we're making progress. Sammy did some significant tree trimming and lighting maintenance this past month. We hired one of those lifts, and we raised the canopy on a number of trees and got some of those bad trees up. So they did a great job on that. Boilers, the heating season is finally here. Believe it or not, it wasn't that long ago. Right? The heat was on. So our boiler guys are busy now with preventative maintenance for next year. Next year's heating season is right around the corner. So right now, their piping systems, the mechanical equipment, our boiler replacement project that's going on, they're busy with that right now. I do include our operating budget actual statement in your packet, which was reviewed at the Finance Committee. Our resident, and finally our resident services coordinator, Becky, will be giving us her report and keeping us up to date on that and anything that Sandy Belinas wants to bring up to us too. But I think, Becky, anything that you might have? I know you're there. Becky, can we see your picture?
She sent me an audio. I don't know if that's what you were expecting.
What's that?
She sent me an audio. She want to play. I don't know if that's what you were expecting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I guess you might as well play her.
Yep.
But we're not hearing from her, so.
Hoboken Housing Board meeting, resident services report, Thursday, June 18, 2026. Elderly disabled housing units, activities and events for Monroe Gardens, Adams Gardens, and Fox Hill Gardens. In Monroe Gardens, we have bingo on Tuesdays at 6 p.m., food pantry every other Friday at 8 a.m., Dr. Bonissima Podiatrist once a month, St. Peter Christian Church Sundays at 9 a.m., exercise classes Wednesdays at 10 a.m., a flea market this Saturday at 9 a.m., and gentlemen's social Saturdays at 10 a.m. In Adams Gardens, we have bingo on Mondays and Thursdays at 7 p.m., Dr. Punisima, a dietitian, every other month, Tune In Together every other Friday at 2 p.m., Sip and Paint Wednesday, June 24th at 1 p.m., and Movie Matinee every other Friday at 1 p.m. In Fox Hill Gardens, we have bingo on Wednesdays at 7 p.m., Pastoral Care on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m., Dr. Punisima, dietitian, every other month, Movie Night Fridays at 7 p.m., Band resistant exercise classes Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 a.m., and Hoboken United Tenants Garden every other Saturday at 10 a.m. Family housing units, activities, and events for Andrew Jackson Gardens, Harrison Gardens, and Christopher Columbus Gardens. For adults, we have bingo at the Annie Forbes Community Room on Fridays at 6 p.m. and the Christopher Columbus Gardens Community Room on Fridays at 7 p.m. Pastoral Care in the Harrison Gardens Community Room on Fridays at 7 p.m. Trending into a New Life in the Harrison Gardens Community Room every other Thursday at 6:30 p.m. and Different Minds, One Community at the Harrison Gardens Community Room. For kids, we have Street Life Ministries breakfast program at the Monroe Gardens Community Room on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 6:30 a.m. 10 Reasons at the Harrison Gardens Community Room on Mondays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Amazing Truth Society homework help at the Annie Forbes Community Room on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. and Amazing Truth Society karate program at the Annie Forbes Community Room on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. We also have Amazing Truth Society Drum Circle at the Annie Forbes Community Room on Mondays at 3 p.m. and Amazing Truth Society guitar lessons at the Annie Forbes Community Room on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Resources. Subscribe to Nixle and stay ahead. Register today by scanning the QR code with your phone. You can stay up to date with maintenance issues, event announcements, updates, and important advisories. Hope's Food Pantry, Fresh by Ajama Cafe, free produce, bi-weekly, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., located at the Harrison Gardens Community. Please scan the QR code for more information. Hoboken Community Center Pantry Distribution Schedule. Please sign up for Nixle and get more information regarding the schedule. Past events.
It's coming.
understand Becky's having some problem with her audio, but I got my text, so just to finalize her report, the Southwest Festival was tremendous. Thank you for everyone. It really was a great event, no beer garden. So we were all happy. We had a great event. It was just great. All the local politicians came. We got a chance to really do a lot of talking. Congressman Menendez, I got to give him a good tour of where the redevelopment's going to be. It was really worthy. You might have seen, if you haven't, the concrete pads that the emergency generators are on both sides of the Harrison courtyard. You might have seen a quick picture there. There are some graffiti artists, all that came in and painted those at the Southwest Festival. Gorgeous, just beautiful. I think they really add to the community, and I really thank them. One of the two artists is Hoboken Born and Raised, just a great guy. So really thanks for that. So those are our meetings right now. Thank you. That's really the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Can somebody please give me the list, public portion? Thank you very much. Just so everybody knows, we don't go back and forth. Everybody gets 5 minutes to speak. Stephanie Goodwin. And we'll make sure that your questions and answers are addressed after the meeting. Go ahead and follow, please.
Good afternoon.
Could you spell your name, please?
Stephanie, Stephanie, Goodwin, Goodwin. This past last month, I've been brutally beaten by my next door neighbor. And this is what happens to me. Find out that my next door neighbor, we're arguing 4 years. 4 years. I've been arguing with housing about her dog barking all night, every day, all day. They get upset with me because I call housing. That one day that they see me, her boyfriend brutally, and it was caught on camera, the beating that I endure. I am of age. I have stage 2 kidney disease, and I didn't deserve this. And this is what I got to live with for the rest of my life. And this guy and her, they should have been evicted immediately when they housing saw this camera. I went to Jersey City Medical Center, Trauma Center, because from head to toe, they said it was so brutal that this guy did not want to stop beating me until the time I had to play dead for him to stop beating me. To stop beating me. I made appointments with housing. With housing.
Can you shut the phone off, please?
That's me.
Okay.
I made an appointment with housing. Every time that I made this appointment to see him, they keep telling me, oh, he's on vacation. This was a serious matter by a tenant / so-called boyfriend that's not on her lease. Not on her lease. And so is the dog. It's not on her lease. I'm fear of my life. I am so scared that I have other tenants have to bring me upstairs. I'm afraid I can't even hold conversations in my apartment knowing that they are listening. This is what I gotta live with for the rest of my life, knowing that they still there. They are still there and nothing is being done. They keep telling me that, oh, they put do not trespass against him. He comes in middle of the night using her key card to come in, and he has nowhere to go. So I'm asking you, Commissioner, what are you going to do? Because I'm sick and tired of them telling me that you're on vacation. How are you managing the projects? Are you on vacation? How? They should be evicted, not tomorrow. They need to be evicted today. I'm sorry to say, I need her. I've been in these projects. I was raised in these projects. She's only been there 4 years. I'm there for half of my life. To be beaten like this is something that I have to wear for the rest of my life. You guys have no idea what the pain that I have to endure. I mean, I have 8 doctors. Before the brutal beating, I had a heart monitor on because I was complaining about the chest pains of the problems that I'm dealing with housing. And getting no help but run around. I get all these papers to sign and to see him. I'm not doing that. I want her and him out as of today. Today.
Thank you, ma'am. I understand. Sorry for your troubles. We will make sure to address them. Thank you. Ray Rodriguez?
Just spell your last.
My name is Ray Rodriguez.
Just spell your last.
I'm the founder of
Just spell your
Amazing
last
Truth Society. Spell it. RAYRODRIGUEZ. I'm the founder of Amazing Truth Society, and I've been proudly operating my nonprofit at the Hoboken Housing Authority for 18 years now. This October makes 19, and I'm proud of that too. So what I want to cover is, so far Becky covered most of it. One of the things that wasn't covered, and I'm still working on, which is our next program that we're trying to launch. I put a proposal in with Nikon to start a program called Beautiful Eyes Behind the Lens. So I want to get some cameras, and hopefully we can get these cameras into the hands of these kids. So during the summer or maybe beginning winter, they can start going out there taking pictures. We have several laptops that they can download their photos onto, and whether they do collages or whatever, but they have something to do for the summer. I'm also proud of the fact that you see in front of you the magazine, ATSK Alumni Magazine. This magazine has been covering the most amazing people that I had the pleasure of meeting and also speaking to. And we're going to continue that and giving a platform to what's kept me here for 18 years. And so we're going to be reading. The next one is going to have Dylan Zajac. He is the founder of Computers for People. He's going to be on the cover. The most amazing young man I've met. I could say that I'm 61. And there's an application as well that we're putting on our website where people can go and write a couple of sentences and, I could bring it to my board members and we could talk about who would be next in that magazine, who we're gonna feature. There's so many amazing people in Hoboken. And I think it's important for people to know. One of the people that we covered was Christine Johnson, Dr. Christine Johnson, the first woman superintendent of schools in Hoboken. I'm hoping to cover Barbara Reyes because she's the first Puerto Rican president commissioner, I believe. And you know, there's other people that I want to make sure that I shine a light on, because I'm happy to be in Hoboken this long. I'm happy to live this long. One of the things I also wanted to cover is that you said something important a little while ago. What do we do here? One of the things I've been asking, and I'm hoping that once again, sir, I'm bringing this to your attention. Please reconsider allowing us to purchase ping pong tables and have them in that community room. You have a lot of space in there. These kids, we can either have them in the street or we can have them in a space, a safe space where they can have fun. You know, I want to purchase at least 2 ping pong tables and maybe an air hockey table. But that won't happen if you tie my hands. And I'm hoping that if you say no to me, then say yes to something else that we can do to provide these kids something to get them off the street. Because I'm serious. I've been chasing some guys out of the community room every once in a while. I brought to your attention, sir, and I know the police department was called on this, where the guy went in there and stole something from a woman's purse, one of the workers there. I stopped him. Should I have to be a part of that? No, I shouldn't. Unless it pertains to a child, then I would feel a lot better. But this is an adult trying to take something out of a woman's purse. I just couldn't let it happen. So it was on camera. I'm pretty sure everybody saw him running.
Thank you. Your 5 minutes is up.
Okay, so I want to thank you once again for allowing me to speak on this. So let's see what we can do next.
Your time.
Thank you.
RWLINS. I had an issue in my bathroom and they had to replace the light fixture and the whole entire thing. Not due to my negligence, but there has been a history of water damage coming down from, I don't know which apartment, doesn't matter to me, they have to fix it anyway. But I was charged for a light bulb, which I shouldn't have been charged for, and it should be removed from my account. I didn't destroy the item, it was, my son noticed it was flickering, and then one of them blew out, and then the other one started flickering, and I had to call it in. And anytime housing needs to have a contract or do any jackhammering, it would be a common courtesy to allow residents to be notified that this is going to happen so they can prepare for the noise, or if they're taking care of someone who's had an illness and is recovering, it would be nice to know about it so that they don't be startled up out of their sleep. You have a resolution for a vehicle. Who needs a new vehicle now? It's like every other month you get a new vehicle for something. Enough is enough. It's not necessary this year. Get one next year. You also have something for medical alert devices. Is that for senior buildings only? Or are you going to be reaching out to the other seniors that are throughout the housing authority and the disabled throughout the housing authority instead of focusing on just the senior buildings, you do have residents who are disabled and senior outside of the senior buildings. So, that would be nice.
Thank you, Ms. Ramos.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up was security in Fox Hill. I was there downstairs the other day, and I was going to take the elevator, and I noticed that somebody came in, and I questioned the person that was sitting there, security, and I said, excuse me, can I ask you a question? Are you taking down names because we have a book that you have to sign them in? Her answer to me, unbeknownst that she didn't know who I was, oh, I'm not doing that. There's so many people coming in and out. Now, then, Mr. Record, then there has to be a meeting with the supervisor who handles security. Because in Fox Hill, that's not gonna happen. And that should not happen anywhere. If you're hired to do a job, you have to complete whatever it is. You have to have your list of what are your duties as a security person. So that happened in Fox Hill. Now, there was an incident that happened in apartment 6J, which is across from me. I was coming upstairs and I heard him saying Spanish, help. So in return, I knocked on his door and I said, what happened? He says he needed help. So I immediately went and got Danny. Danny came upstairs and he questioned me and I told him, I don't know what's going on, Danny. So as Danny would call the police, whoever Danny was calling the police and the ambulance, we went in. Danny went in and I went behind him. Now, I told Danny has a stove. So this man has a stove and I live across from him. He's constantly burning stuff. There's always smoke across from me. And my question is, what is the situation with him? I think that he needs more system than just living there. It's something that we have to look into. And his stove, when I went in, the knobs from the stove, he only had one. And I looked at Manny, then he looked at me. And it's not to laugh about it, but, I was like, I said, no wonder he's burning everything all the time. But it's understandable. And I think that he needs help, and he's not a bad person. He just needs assistance with, social worker, someone has to come in and check on him more often. The garbage was left the other day on the 6th floor. And when I went in to throw out my garbage, I just said, well, let me just see if I can pick this up and throw it in, which was easy to do. I'm just thinking that probably there was a tenant that was not strong enough to pick it up and throw it in, down the chute where it was supposed to go. Another thing is that the balconies. I know you mentioned that there's going to be a bid. I hope that that bid is done, and I need my balcony to be repaired by the door. It's a mess. It's not that bad, but it needs attention to it. I also want to mention that as Frank was speaking, and you mentioned the mission. Frank said the why and the mission. I think that as commissioners, we're here for a reason, for a purpose. We're here to hear out whatever situation is besides looking at what the money part is. What has to be done here. But at the same token, the why is because we are concerned and we're trying to do the best that we can to help the tenants that are here, not only just in Fox Hill, in all housing. Okay, so that's one thing that I want to make clear, that we are concerned about, the tenants. Another thing is that there's a tree behind my house, and every time they come to mow, I always tell them, is it possible you could trim the tree because that tree hits my vehicle? And I don't have a problem pulling it, but the thing is, Mr. Echo, that it's always hanging. I think that tree needs to be done. It has to be trimmed, right, Danny? And I think it's kind of old. Maybe it's a tree that you could just take out, probably. I'm not sure. I don't know if you could do that. Anyway, so that was it. Just one of the things that we have to look at is the security now, because if we have these people working there with, how could I say, I asked for her name, she didn't want to give me a name. She did give me her last name, which I'll give it to you later on. But you know, there can't be attitude. The problem is that people get positions, and some people that get positions, it goes to their head. It shouldn't. The position that you have is to be able to help others. There's a mission, there's a why, and the why is that we gotta care. If you're here and you're not caring, then you're in the wrong place. So we're just trying to help as much as we can and push everything forward and help it. And there's only so much that, I mean, the director, I know people like to say good things about him, and I know there's people like to talk stuff about him. And I feel that if you were in his position and you look at the big project, I mean, it's not just one building, it's a lot of buildings involved, it's a lot of responsibility, and he has to hand it out to his staff, and his staff tries to do as much as they can. But I can't wait for these new buildings to come up, because I think once they come up, it's beautiful. I saw the plan. I even told Mr. Recco, I want to move downtown when this happens, because they're beautiful buildings, and everyone's going to be pleased. It's not just going to be a studio, it's going to be a one-bedroom and other bedrooms involved here. But it's a beautiful plan, but let's just continue moving forward and helping one another, encouraging one another. And this is why we're here. Well, the meetings are for you to come forward. If there's a complaint, to complain about it and see what's going to be done. Because at the end of the day, Mr. Recco doesn't report all the time, and he gives us what he has done every month, and we look at it, and from there we could move forward. So if we have people here, you have people representing other people. We need those people to come out here and represent themselves, to hear what's going on, you know. And I hope that this woman that came forward before, I'm pretty sure that the police was involved. It's just a matter of the criminal justice system doing their part. I worked there and I retired from that, and I want you to know that it's a process. But in order to be fair, Mr. Recco needs police report, and once they start prosecuting the person, then he could take more action. It's not that he's not. It's going to happen. Just we got to give it time. But for the time being, if there's something that could be done for her, I don't know if she could be moved as an emergency, as a, you know, I don't know if she qualifies as domestic violence, but it's a serious situation. Because if she's present charging against someone, I'm sorry, you know, my 5 minutes are up. They're going to want to come after her, and that's what she's scared about. I would be scared myself. Thank you for your time, and I'm sorry that took more than 5 minutes, but I had to let it out.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have one question for the lawyer. Did we move on to resolutions and then we do comments on the director's report after? Did we change that? Or did we go back to
I
comments?
believe the recommendation has been to save any comments on the director's report for either unfinished business or new business.
Right, that's what it is. Okay, perfect. So now we are on to, can you hear me?
Yes.
Resolution 2026-0601, resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to approve the meeting minutes for May 14th, 2026.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions or discussion? Anybody? No? Director, call the vote?
Hold on, David.
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. On the minutes, do you have a question?
Only as to,
Please speak up because I can't hear you.
I printed out the agenda, and it says 0601 is resolution to approve the minutes for the May 8, 2025 meeting. I'm assuming that's incorrect.
That's correct. That's not what I have.
Okay, anyways. It is May 14th.
Yes. Would you like to see a copy?
The actual minutes have the right date. I'm sorry for that mistake.
Does have the right date here.
Sorry for that mistake on the agenda. Okay, yep. Okay, no.
Any questions?
No?
No? Okay. Anybody else have any questions? No? Director, please call the vote.
D. Edwards? Yes. A. Forbes?
Yes.
B. Reyes? J. Rodriguez?
Yes.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
M. Testa?
Yes.
C. Vega?
Yes.
We should probably make a note for the record on when Reverend Forbes came into the meeting. About how long you been here, Reverend?
About five after.
Okay, very good. Make a note that you arrived about 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Are we ready? Yes. Resolution 0602, resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to approve the meeting minutes for the May 14, 2026 regular board meeting.
Motion. Second.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have one question.
Sure.
I think you answered it already, but there was no beer garden at the festival? I'm sorry? There was no beer garden at the festival?
There's no beer garden.
Because that was a condition.
That's right, that's
Great.
right.
Thank you.
No, I was there. There was no beer. I can
Just
confirm.
wanted, I thought he said that before, but
Yep.
just wanted to confirm.
No problem. I can confirm that.
Any rumors at my office? No,
Director, anybody have any other questions? No. Director, can you call the vote, please?
And D. Edwards,
Yes.
A. Forbes,
Yes.
B. Regis, J. Rodriguez,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
M. Testa, C. Vega.
Yes.
Resolution 2026-0603, resolution to ratify payment of the monthly list of bills for the Hoboken Housing Authority.
Motion.
Second. Any questions and concerns?
I want to roll again, might as well keep going, right? Director, I know you were busy and everything, but I noticed that your cover letter is missing. Did you review these?
I apologize for that, my fault. I'd be glad to do when I have reviewed them. I have looked at all of them.
It's okay, but just.
We'll correct that for next month.
Yep.
I also reviewed and signed, so when I signed, I reviewed them as well.
Okay, but it's the director. who did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I do have a question we're on bills, right?
Yes.
Just one question. We paid the insurance this month, and it's line item number 87. And what period does that cover? I know we're concerned about insurance going way up. This doesn't seem much of an increase from last year. So I think last year was like $1,366,000, and this would make it $1,408,000.
So it's calendar year, so it's from January through December.
Okay. So we don't know what, you have an estimate, but it's too early, to know for next year.
No, this is the joint insurance fund insurance policy that covers the employees' property, general liability.
But health insurance isn't covered.
You're referring to line number 87.
Health insurance is not covered in this, so, and that's our huge concern on this.
So we don't anticipate a large increase in this next year, it's just more on the health side. That's all I have, thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments, concerns? Director, can you please call the vote?
D. Edwards?
Yes.
A. Forbes?
Yes.
B. Reyes, J. Rodriguez,
Yes.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
M. Testa?
Yes.
C. Vega.
Yes.
Resolution number 2026-0604, resolution to adopt and approve the single audit for fiscal year 10/1/2024 through 9/30/2025 of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken, conducted by Novogradac and Company LLP.
Motion.
Second. I know we're going to have some discussion on this. I
Are
believe.
we going to have, is the auditor going to make a
Yep.
report, or is this going to go like the questions?
No, hold on 1 second, please,
Sorry.
sir.
Sorry.
So 1 second, please, thank you. So it's come to our attention that there are certain things that we need to address. The director and the auditor have something to be prepared. Can you please give a presentation on what of the changes that you would like the board to address?
Sure. And the only question, I guess, is maybe have the auditor go up and give the general first, and then we get down to the specific couple things that we'd like to change.
Sir, please.
Right here?
Yes, please.
Can I have your name?
Rich Larson, I'm the partner of Novogradac and Company of Toms River, New Jersey.
And
I
please
get a
put your
test-
last name?
LARSCN. And the traffic going down the shore this weekend is really, really bad. If anybody's going, I just saw it.
Everywhere.
So very brief, because I guess a week or so ago, I met with Finance Committee, with your fee accountant, and we went through the audit in great detail. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a brief overview of the report. So there's 3 reports in the package. There's an audit report on your financial statements, and we say in our first audit report that your financial statements do present fairly, except for one thing, that the state of New Jersey didn't provide your pension and state health benefits report, so we couldn't put that liability in the financials. So nothing you did wrong, It's just we never get that report from the state because they didn't issue it yet. So your financials present fairly, except for those numbers. We'll put those in next year. So that you did the best you could on that report. Nothing the Housing Authority did wrong. There's also, every government in New Jersey has to have what's called the Government Auditing Standards Report. And that's where we test the authority's internal control structure. You know, what are the processes that the authority has in place to safeguard authority assets? So we test how you process cash receipts and cash disbursements and payroll. Are you paying your employees the right amount? Are you putting out to bid the things you're supposed to be putting out to bid? We read the minutes to your meetings. And if the board passes a resolution to hire a certain contractor at a certain rate, we go and make sure the staff follow through with that. So that's all part of your internal control structure. And we want to make sure, because the board sets policy, we want to make sure that the staff is following through with that policy, with what you're doing. And so the good news is there, we found no weaknesses in that system, and we say that in your Government Auditing Standards Report.
You say that in your, you say that in your...
In the Government Auditing Standards Report.
Thank you.
And finally, the third report is because of federal law and the level of expenditures that the authority has, $22 million of federal expenditures, in excess of 22, we're required to give an opinion. Did you comply with all the strings attached to that money? So this year, the way the audit program fell, we had to test your voucher program, your public housing program, and your capital fund program. Usually it's not 3 programs. That was a lot. We put a tremendous amount of stress on the staff, but that's just the way the program fell this year. And so the good news is on the public housing program and the capital fund program, we gave what's called an unmodified opinion with no findings and no issues. It's the highest level of assurance that we can give as auditors. So that was a great outcome. With the voucher program, we did have a couple issues that we addressed with finance, and we addressed at the finance committee meeting last week, some issues with tenant files and so forth. And I think we've hired Dan McKay this year to rectify those situations. This is going back to last fiscal year ending September 30th. As far as your finances go, they're in pretty good shape. The authority has about $10 million of working capital on hand as of your fiscal year end date. That represents in excess of 6 months worth of reserves. Now, HUD says if you have between 2 and 4 months, that's average. 4 to 6 months is good, and you have a little bit more than 6 months. So that's not something that happens overnight. That shows some good financial management, and you're operating within a budget. Now, the bad news about that is that those funds are within federal programs. So, you know, within the public housing program, you have to follow the rules to use those funds, within the voucher programs and so forth. The authority had about $25 million in revenues against $22.5 million in expenses, and we showed about a $3.2 million profit. However, in that profit, there was about $3 million of debt that was forgiven by New Jersey HMFA. So really, you got to pull that out and figure it. And so if you do an adjusted profit, it was about $1 million of adjusted profit on 25 million in revenue. So with that, I think it was a very positive report, a good report. I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's a lot to take in. If anybody has questions, I can take them now. Or you can call me, you can email me. I work for the board. And so be happy to address any questions.
Yeah, and I think now, Rich, you can understand that, Rich, don't go anywhere, because we want to talk about a couple of the issues that
Sure.
I think we'd like to make a couple minor changes in the language.
Yep.
Our goal tonight is to have this approved. We need a submission to the state by the end of the month. So I am leaning in the direction of recommending that and requesting that the board approve this with some modifications. That we say that you're okay with approving it as long as we make modification A, B, and C. Right? We there? Now we talk about modification A, I think. You want to take the lead on that? But sure. Modification B.
If I can, just before we get into the modification, I want to thank you. I think the audit process this year just went so incredibly smooth over the last year, and I appreciate Emil and Bill and Yesenia and everybody involved in getting it done early this year, so that we did have time to look at it before we came to this meeting. And I think it's a great report. If anybody's interested in understanding the report, I would suggest you read pages 4 and 5, which gives a very good description of what each of the documents is and what are some of the key items in the audit are in plain English. So with that, there's really there's two items to discuss. First of all, Rich, I know we had talked about, or I had requested the debt service covenant ratio calculation for Fox Hill. Have you done that?
Oh, wow. Okay. We want that as a schedule?
I just,
okay.
it doesn't, a schedule would be great. The reason to me it's important is because if we're in violation of it, we need to put that in the audit, and if we're not, it'd be nice to confirm that we are.
Okay,
So,
you didn't want to schedule in the audit?
No, not.
Oh, okay,
doesn't have to.
okay, I'll email that up to you. Kevin was working on that, okay. Well, I'll email that tomorrow, yeah.
And then the second item, and the reason for this, because most of the items have been discussed or handled at the Finance Committee meeting or in between, but part of the audit was only completed Tuesday, and it's within that section that I have comments. And if you turn to page, now I guess I'm trying to figure out, page 5, at the bottom, you'll see the section that says blended component unit. And we've made 2 modifications here, so I've got to move through this slowly. Emil, Bill, everybody chime in. You can see where it says, currently says blended component units are separate legal entities that meet the component unit criteria described above. Well, there's no criteria described above. So I know that Director Recco had written some language to propose to change this paragraph. And there's 2 parts here. So what I am proposing, before we get to a resolution, just I want to walk it through sequentially. 1, we're going to remove this paragraph. Number 2, we're going to put in the paragraph that, just a second, Director Recco and Emil can read or describe, whatever's the easiest way to do it. And then the 3rd part, which is what's missing here, is the description of housing for Hoboken implies that it's, well, states that it's only involved in Fox Hill, where in fact it is the general partner and the managing partner of H4, which is part of the redevelopment process. So if we're going to identify what this entity is and what it does, that's a very important component, bad choice of words there, that needs to be included here. Second, and related to it, and so just to finish and then come back, you also mentioned on page 17, you also referred to housing for Hoboken. And what, I guess, the simplest way here first, why do we need it a second time here if you've already explained it?
And then, so what we do in the basic financial statements is, so that has to be in accordance with GAAP. The MD&A is not. We don't give an opinion. The MD&A, you can do whatever. You pull it out of the
All right, I
MD&A.
thought you're both talking. Go ahead.
Sorry,
It's
okay. So we can pull it out of the MD&A, I would recommend, the page 5, I guess. That's the management's discussion and analysis.
And if we just put it here and replace it, because I have problems with this paragraph.
Yeah.
So if we take what Director Recco has proposed and put it on page 17 and add text about the general partner, managing partner of H4, I'm okay with it as written. But it gets away from this wholly controlled and some other language that we'd have a longer conversation. So I guess my resolution then is that we remove the blended component unit text on page 5 from the report and replace on page 17 Housing for Hoboken, Inc. with the text that Director Recco has, plus a sentence or 2 about Housing for Hoboken being the general partner and managing partner of H4.
Matt, how do we do that?
Give me 1 second, I'm just making a note.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Edwards, we're gonna,
Commissioner, I gave 2 examples of paragraphs.
The first one.
The first one. Good.
Do you want to just read it, just so we all
I
have
can
it?
read it into the record.
Yeah, just give me, that's what I'm gonna propose, just give me 1 second.
let us know, we have to probably
Okay,
amend.
so what I would suggest is that, and I can give you more detail on what I would actually propose after the director reads it. I would have you read the paragraph you are proposing, replaces the paragraph we're talking about on page 17. And then at that point, I can give you essentially what I would suggest your resolution to amend would be.
And what about the text, adding to his paragraph, the text about H4 and GPMB?
I will add that after the director proposes. So I'll give that to you as part of what I would propose your resolution to be, if that makes sense.
Do you want to read it now so we can, so it sounds, or are you still drafting?
No, I can read it now. So what I would suggest, based on what the director proposes and any discussion after that, would be that you make a resolution to amend, to approve the audit with specific amendments, those being the removal of the blended component unit paragraph on page 5, and the replacement of the description of the Housing for Hoboken paragraph on page 17 with language substantially similar to what will be proposed by the executive director, subject to the approval of the language by the executive director. And at that point, you'd be voting to approve it conditionally if the executive director signs off on, and Nova Braddock signs off on that language, then it would be submitted as revised.
If you wanted to add one thing.
That, since you haven't seen the paragraph, I realize this is confusing.
Yep.
His paragraph only refers to Housing for Hoboken as being involved with Fox Hill RAD. So we need to add a sentence that says, in addition, Housing for Hoboken is the general partner and managing partner of H4, which is the authority's Phase 1 development project, or something to that
Understood,
extent.
and what I would suggest is, assuming that sentence will be part of the paragraph we're talking about,
Yes.
a sentence in that paragraph, that the director essentially reads something to that effect as part of his proposal.
Okay.
That's why I put the language in substantially similar. That way, if there's any discussion between the director and Rich about what the specific language is, there could be a slight modification to that, and it would still meet the approval if you approve the resolution, I'm sorry, if you approve the audit as revised.
So am I doing that now?
So what I would suggest first is that we have the director read the proposed new paragraph describing Housing for Hoboken that would go in section C on page 17.
Right. So the paragraph reads as follows. Housing for Hoboken, Inc., comma, a nonprofit 501c3 corporation is a legally separate organization that meets the criteria for a blended component unit under GAAP due to its significant operational and financial relationship with the authority. Housing for Hoboken, Inc. consists of a 200-unit apartment building, comma, formerly part of the authority's housing stock, known as Fox Hills Gardens, AMP5, period. Fox Hill Gardens was transferred to Housing for Hoboken, Inc. as part of HUD's RAD program during 2021. And then the addition from what I've written here would be, in addition, H4H is the managing and development partner in H4.
They're the managing partner and general partner.
And general partner. Thank you.
Do you want to say anything about what H4, which is the authority's Phase 1 redevelopment project?
Could, and we could expand on the acronym as well.
Probably, because I don't think there's anywhere else in here that H4 is discussed.
Right, I
so yes.
would give some language to define what it is.
Yes.
And I think what the Commissioner proposed is perfectly fine, subject to any discussion between Rich and the director.
And now, are we done with that part? Because I have a part B, but I want to make sure we're clear. Which is a question for the resolution.
Okay.
Do we also add that the auditor, the other condition is the auditor is to provide the debt service covenant ratio calculation for Fox Hill, or do we make that a separate resolution?
You can add them both as two conditions. I would suggest that.
Okay.
If you want to make that a condition of the approval, I would just include them both.
It's very easy to do.
Right, only if it was a negative outcome, you want to include it. We want to disclose it if it was a negative. I don't think it was. Okay.
Assuming the ratio is positive, it doesn't need to be in the audit. If it's negative, it needs to be in the audit.
Contingency.
Sure. I guess my question for Rich is, you're saying it's not negative.
I have to go back and look. I got to review it. I know it was done, but if it's negative, it could be a possible contingency that a loan could get called if it's a negative debt. So if that violates the covenant.
And then it would need to be mentioned.
You mentioned that in a footnote.
Okay. Then I would make it subject to receipt by the authority and, if necessary, inclusion in the audit.
All right, so should I try this resolution?
I can do it if you'd like.
Please.
I can do it if you'd like. I do have one more question for Rich. Are you okay, theoretically, with the changes discussed here?
Absolutely.
Do you see any issue with any of that?
No, these are your financial statements, and it doesn't cause us to change our opinion. So,
okay.
Absolutely. Whatever you like.
Okay, so what, just give me some guidance here. So you want to make it conditioned upon the receipt of the debt service covenant ratio calculation, okay?
For Fox Hills Provident loan.
Provident loan, okay.
It's coverage ratio.
Did everyone say that?
Not covenant, no.
Oh, I just made it wrong.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. And if necessary, inclusion of the same in the audit report.
Correct.
Okay. So what I would suggest is that, Commissioner, you would make a motion to amend, to amend the resolution to add two conditions to the approval of the audit. The first being receipt of the debt service coverage ratio calculation for the Fox Hills Provident loan, and if necessary, inclusion of the same in the audit report. And then the second condition would be that the blended component unit paragraph on page 5 of the audit report in the package be removed. And finally, that the description of Housing for Hoboken paragraph on page 17 of the audit that is in the package be replaced with language substantially similar to what was proposed by the executive director, subject to the approval of language by the executive director, or agreement on the language, that's like agreement on the language by the executive director and Novak Radek. So it's now yours to make a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. So if there's any discussion, you could have discussion on that. If not, you would vote first on the amendment, and then you would vote on the resolution as amended.
I'm okay.
Does anybody have any
The other ones are
discussion?
minor changes, which is,
Do you have any discussion, so before we take the vote?
I think I'm okay with it.
Anybody else have any discussion?
Yeah, I have a point. You have a
Yes.
Minor discrepancy, the resolution page, the agenda,
I'm sorry, I just haven't probably hear you.
sorry, the resolution, the agenda page says for fiscal year 10-2 24, just want to make that correction there. And then the mention of the repositioning with RPM Development LLC and the agenda, is that a typo? Is that sandwiched in there inadvertently?
I don't know why it's going to be.
Yeah, just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you. So we are now about to take a vote on the amended.
Wait, sorry, Commissioner, where did you see the 2024?
Up on the agenda?
Oh, the agenda, okay,
Yeah.
not on the resolution.
Can you show
Correct.
me?
Yeah, I think I should, yeah.
Okay, no problem.
As soon as 10-1 is correct.
I think the issue here is what's written on the agenda as identified by the commissioner. As introduced by the vice chair, it was October 1st. So I think we're okay. I don't think we need to do any further amendment, but it's a good point, and I think the agenda that's posted on the website should probably be updated to reflect.
I apologize for that. I do have a comment before you vote. I just want to remind everyone that we had public housing findings for many years. There's no public housing finding. Right? Staff, Yesenia and your crew, great job. I want to note that the Nan McKay effort, and this is somewhat reflected in the Section 8 finding we had, started the month after the end of this audit, right? So that effort was not reflected at all in this audit. So I have high hopes for our next year's audit because we really paid attention to this issue and really hope to have this thing behind us on these issues next year. And last but not least, certainly not least, certainly to our management department on those findings, to our maintenance and contracting departments on no findings on purchasing, no findings on not doing the correct thing on bidding. Emil, the folks out there that are responsible for bidding that we all work on so hard, that I hope it reflects to the community that, and I'll say it straightforward, we're honest, we do it by the book. You know, these guys have looked at what we do, and we don't play games here. We don't do anything to play a shell game. We do it by HUD regs, we do it by biddings, fair. Sometimes it's frustrating, it takes us longer than we'd like to get the balconies done, to get all this, but it's important to me that my staff is doing things right, and I'm really, really proud of them to say we had something like this come in. So thank you, staff, and for our reference. So that's what I wanted to say before you go.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any comments, question or comments? Commissioner Edwards? Commissioner Vega, did you have a question?
No.
Comment?
No, I was just admired what Mr.
Yes,
The director was saying about his staff later on.
Yes, and we'll talk about that as soon as we're finished with the resolution.
Sure.
Thank you. Director, please call the vote.
D. Edwards?
So this is the vote on the amendment of the resolution.
Yes.
A. Forbes?
Yes.
B. Reyes? J. Rodriguez?
Yes.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
M. Testa?
Yes.
C. Vega?
Yes.
And now you would have, unless there's any further discussion, you'd have a vote on the resolution as amended.
Does anybody have any discussion, questions, comments? Director, please call the vote.
D. Edwards?
Yes.
A. Forbes?
Yes.
B. Reyes? J. Rodriguez?
Yes.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
M. Testa?
Yes.
C. Vega?
Yes.
Thank you for all your hard work, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for
Resolution
coming.
number 2026-0605, resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken approving the write-off of tenants' accounts receivable balances. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Second?
Second.
Okay. Director, can you give us a little clarity on this one, please?
I can't, but I think the one that's most living with it every day is Emil.
Okay, please.
This is major for us, so.
This is a proposed write-off of accounts receivables for tenants that have vacated the authority. They were either vacated due to just them moving out, or there was a court action requiring them to move out. So the period for this write-off is from January 1st of 2026 through March 31st. There's a listing just by the property, and those are the balances. It doesn't stop us from going after those balances. This is simply an accounting transaction where the gross receivable is being taken off of the accounting books, and the majority of the times we had already previously booked a reserve for allowance doubtful accounts on those receivables because they were old in a lot of the instances.
Can you explain the benefit of this for everybody? Why it's important to do this and why we need to be doing it?
We are doing this to more accurately reflect what our actual tenant accounts receivable balance is.
Thank you very much.
And if I can interrupt,
Of course.
previously, and will correct me if I'm wrong, we used to do this once a year. And so when you look at the financial statements every month, they were actually overstating how well we were doing, because this stuff wasn't, now with this stuff being written off quarterly, the statements are going to be more accurately reflecting the situation at that time, as opposed to one big change at the end of the year.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Director, can you call the vote, please?
D. Edwards.
Yes.
A. Forbes.
Yes.
B. Reyes. J. Rodriguez.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
M. Testa.
Yes.
C. Vega.
Yes.
Resolution 2026-0606, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to purchase a vehicle.
Motion.
Second, Director, can you please explain further?
Sure. We have had one vehicle that we've been just running on duct tape. And it is a similar type vehicle, but it's so old that you got to jimmy the transmission into place, and it's just dying. So our proposal, rather than put more money into it, is to sell it via the usual market process that we use, and get a new one to put us into the future. This will be paid for through capital funds.
Thank you. Director Housel, I believe you had to put it into maintenance a lot this past year. You're spending a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense, right? We're putting a lot of money into it.
And again, the safety of my staff, I don't want them driving this vehicle around with them. I just don't.
Is this a vehicle for everyone to use in your office, or?
Yeah, we will pass the vehicle over to maintenance, because this is maintenance, these vehicles are vehicles that either Becky, Resident Services, or maintenance, if they've got to run across town, or somebody's got to go to Home Depot, this is a big enough vehicle to take that type of thing.
Does anybody have any questions?
I just want to say, for the moment, we're done by pickup trucks. That type of vehicle we can get stuff into, but it's also the type of vehicle that if we have to go to Trenton to see the state government or Newark, that we're safe and going.
Thank you, Director. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on this one?
Well, I just wish that the tenant that mentioned about the vehicle was here. They would have, known more about it, so.
Yeah, we still have to do business. We still have to keep our people safe.
Plus, it's a must.
And we talked about this at several meetings, like, does it make sense to spend $3,000, $4,000 in maintenance? And it's, I mean, that 10 times when you bought the vehicle.
Right. Good point. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Director, can you call the vote, please?
D. Edwards. Yes. A. Forbes.
Yes.
B. Reyes. J. Rodriguez.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
M. Testa.
Yes.
C. Vega.
Yes.
Resolution number 2026-0607, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for provision of the delivery and pickup of steel roll-on, roll and off trash containers.
Motion. Second.
Director, I believe you were talking about this earlier, or is this something
No, it's
different?
something different. This is our big containers that when we pick up couches, stuff to build the couches in back behind the office, those big ones, that they come with a large truck and pull those off. So it's different than your trash dumpsters.
And I believe when people move, we're responsible, the housing authority is responsible for taking the trash out and working with the city on if somebody moves out and they leave a bed outside and things like that. Is this helping in that
If
situation?
somebody leaves a bed outside or a couch, we do pick it up with we have a truck, a large bed truck that we come by and pick up that stuff, yes. Residents, we would hope would be responsible for their own, but if it's there, we will pick it up.
And this would be assisting with that process?
And once we pick that up into that larger truck, then it goes over to those big bins that are right behind our building 11.
Our building?
Building 11.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I'm confused. Are these the actual
Director
containers?
Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah. Are these actual containers or are these the cleaning, taking them away of the containers?
Taking them away. So they come and they grab the container. These are those huge containers. They put it on the truck and then a new one is placed.
Okay, so it's trash removal.
Yes, trash removal.
Did you have a question?
So this is a 2-year contract?
Yes. 2 years, yes.
And there's the month-to-month, the bid drop, this is on top of, or?
I'm sorry, month to
I'm
month.
sorry, I can't hear you.
Wait, so the bin drop arrangement, that we spoke about earlier, that's totally separate?
That's totally separate.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't call that a bid drop. This is the bid drop here, because we call those the bids just to get the language straight. And the other project we've been doing in coordination with the city are containerizations, we're calling them. They're the enclosed trash containers that will replace those smaller trash bins, dumpsters around our family units. Because those are rat party centers.
I'm sorry, those are,
Rodent party centers.
I'm sorry, since you're talking that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Does anybody have any other further questions or comments? Director, please call the vote.
D. Edwards.
Yes.
A. Forbes.
Yes.
E. Reyes. J. Rodriguez.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
M. Testa.
Yes.
C. Vega.
Yes.
Resolution 2026-0608, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for, for medical alert devices and monthly monitoring.
Motion.
Second. Director, I believe somebody had a question in regards to, I believe our PHA web system can tell us where all of our seniors are living regardless of the building because of the age, that we will make sure to address every senior, regardless if they're living in our family units and or of course our senior facilities. Is there anything else you would like to discuss on
I think we've been doing this for years, and you know, the old system of the pull cord doesn't work well. We find it's much more effective to do these and much safer for our residents rather than the old pull cord routine.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah,
Commissioner Edwards?
I'm on the roll. Might as well keep going.
Of course, please.
This is the second year in a row these are the other guys that did, right? I mean, are there any, I forget what you call them, co-ops? I gotta believe there's lots of housing authorities that need this. I'm just surprised that they're the only game in town. I mean, is there a co-op that, sorry?
I said, are you talking about the Piscataway Co-op or something that you
I'm
use?
asking any co-op that does this. I mean, how is it that there's one company, I mean, again, Jersey City must have the need for this, and Union City, I mean, they're building a senior building, I mean, and there's only one show in town?
Emma, can you tell us about the process? I believe only one person bid?
Yeah, right.
Correct? So, and you went out to bid, and you only got one back?
That's correct.
And it's the second year in a row at least that they've been.
Yeah, this was previously 2 years of contract, so it was 2 years ago. But
Okay.
yes, that was the same situation where it was just one bid. The authority, as long as it is within what we have budgeted for
Sure.
and our cost estimate, we can accept that renovated bridge in this instance.
And I do get your point. I do get your point. And I think if we can start beating the bushes collectively and find somebody else that does it, that we can entice to bid for us next time, I would like to do that.
And it's not a huge, it's $77,000. It's not a huge number.
Right.
But it just seems to me that there's got to be other shows in town somewhere.
But more importantly, is it working? Is it working for the residents? Are the residents happy with this? Is it doing what we need to be doing?
It certainly works. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. But I do like competition, and it would be great to find another company that does this service.
Commissioner Vega and Commissioner Rodriguez, have you heard any complaints from any of your constituents on this?
No.
Are they happy with the service?
Yeah, they've been.
You don't have, you're okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or concerns?
And we will look into it.
Director, can you please call the vote?
D. Edwards? Yes. A. Forbes? He's gone?
Yes.
No, he's here. B. Reyes? J. Rodriguez?
Yes.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
M. Testa?
Yes.
C. Vega?
Yes. Okay, resolution 2026-0609, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract elevator maintenance, repair, testing, and inspection services. Director, can you, first, motion?
Motion. Second.
Director, can you give us a little explanation of what this is about?
We're changing companies. We have frustration with our current elevator company, particularly this past year. As you know, we've had a couple sites that have been down for quite a while, particularly one, and we found that we believe our service has been lacking, and we believe it's time to go out and go forward another company. We've gotten really good references on this company. They appear to be very professional. They've got very licensed people on their staff. They've got people that live here, that live close, as opposed to the folks that live far away. And when you know that call comes in at 1 in the morning, you want somebody that can get here at a reasonable time. And so that also enticed us. But I think overall, the biggest reason that we want to go to another company is we believe we haven't quite got the level of service and expertise that we expect, and I expect out of an elevator company. So it's time we change courses on this stream and try to do that.
Thank you.
Our elevators are difficult. They're all, even the ones that have been replaced, they're small. The parts are hard to get. They're not modern. They'll be here, but not on our 7 stories and our 10 stories. And when something goes out, parts might need to be fabricated. I want to see a quicker turnaround on fabrication. I want to see a quicker turnaround on getting the electronic parts that might be custom, and I think we can achieve that with a different company.
Yeah, that's often the complaint that we get on a daily basis, unfortunately. So hopefully we think this can fix some of that slowly.
Elevators are always going to break.
That is true.
And anyone that lives in a high-rise, brand new, you're going to find that to be true. But I think it's, in some ways, around the edges. If an elevator goes down, I do not expect 4 months. No. No. So we need a little better service than that.
Thank you. Are you done, Director?
I am.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Can you call the vote, please?
D. Edwards?
Yes.
A. Forbes?
Yes.
B. Reyes? J. Rodriguez?
Yes.
E. Seitzman?
Yes.
M. Testa?
Yes.
C. Vega?
Yes.
Resolution 2026-06-10, resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to increase the amount of the contracts for 320 Jackson Street brick repairs.
Motion.
Second. Director, can you please explain?
Sure. This is for the repairs, and you've seen the scaffolding outside of Harrison, where we're replacing the brick that was starting to fall. By the way, we're also looking at a couple locations just to be sure, but I'll stick to this one. as they got up there and they started to take a look, the contractor started to take a look at what we had, there was some modification that they had to do in the contract, fairly small, and it's 8% of the contract. Do you have any other color you want to fill in, Emma, on that?
We did have to increase that contract by 8% because the contractor had submitted a change order request for that, $18,000. Contractor actually went ahead and did the work prior to this request being brought to the board's attention or us even approving it. However, the work was done and it needed to be done. Thereafter, we, as the authority, terminated the contract, and as such, there was a small portion of work that the contractor did not complete. And as such, when all said and done, the contract, we got a credit for $5,000. And so the net amount of this contract is $246,616.18. We are asking the board to approve the gross increase, and thereafter the deduct is taken, and as you saw in the list of bills, that total amount being paid to this contractor is that net amount of $246,000.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or concerns?
Question about just the contract. I mean, since his work was done before the change order was issued, is there any concern with that?
Well, certainly they should have waited. But the scaffolding's up, they're up there working. The architect is up there with them, the engineering company's up there with them. And they're in their work, they said this needs to be done. So we feel confident that it needed to be done, and we watch them. The normal process for us is we approve the change order before, but there are some instances where you just got to move. And this is one. Up in the air. I should add, just to remind or to emphasize what Emil said, we have now fired this contract. They're done. For some other reasons, we pulled their contract. And to be clear, do you think there'll be more work to be done through a different contractor?
In the discussion earlier today, just in our staff meeting, potentially maintenance can complete that $5,000 of work. However, if they are not able to, then yes, we will have to get a proposal or two. It seems like based on the negative change order, it's about $5,000 of work for a contractor.
We're thinking our in-house staff should do it. If we got to bring somebody in, if it's a height or safety issue, we'll bring somebody in. But
Do you have a question, Commissioner Vega?
No.
No? Commissioner Edwards?
Commissioner Davey and I were just, he was explaining something to me.
but
Any other comments or
the facade
questions?
is now secure.
Safety
It's
first.
now secure.
Safety first.
It's
And
secure.
anybody have any questions or comments?
So we're approving the 246 number.
As a total contract.
Total.
Look, we're requesting the gross amount of the contract, because that was the initial change order requested. So they did an additional $18,000 of work. And then after the fact, we terminated the contract, and as such, they weren't able to complete that $5,000. So we are asking for the gross amount to be approved.
Which is 252?
252, yes.
62.58.
Yes.
I just want to point out that the architect's letter, the last paragraph says, we also recommend releasing retainage on work completed.
I'm sorry,
so
you're going to
that-
have to talk into
Please
the
talk louder.
microphone.
Sorry. The paragraph at the bottom of the architect's letter states, we also recommend releasing retainage on work completed so that the contract with Murray can be closed out, a total of 246,616.18.
What's up with that?
Yeah. That should be.
Commissioner Edwards, you have something to say?
I think I can answer his question. To get all of the work done that needs to be done, it's going to cost $252,000. So we're asking for approval for $252,000, which in effect will allow us to go out and hire somebody to do the $5,000 worth of work that's done which would take it up from the 246 to the 252. Am I correct in that?
Am I correct?
Well, no, because we're asking for that 252 to be approved to Murray. We would then be getting somebody else to do that work, and as such, you haven't approved that difference.
But you're not going to pay Murray 252, you're going to pay them 246.
Yes.
And to get the work done that needs to be done, you need to hire somebody for $5,000, which will take the total cost of the project up to 252, correct?
Yes.
So that's why we're asking for 252 now. So that effectively, once you pay Murray, and you find somebody for $5,000 to do the difference, you can pay them and you've already got the approval.
This approval is only to Murray.
It's only,
But you're approving the total, then this should only be for 246 now.
I think there's some slight confusion between what we are paying the contractor minus what we need to finish the project. Is that correct, Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Yeah, it just seems like the architect's letter is a little bit.
It is.
It says we approve the adjusted contract amount of $252,062.58 based on change order related work. But then the next paragraph talks about the credit for the $544,640. Following this credit, the adjusted
I'm
contract amount
sorry,
is
$546,440.
$544,640.
And then,
And then following this credit, the adjusted contract amount is $246,616.18. So, and then it repeats that at the bottom. So I just make sure that's the final number, the 246 number.
The original contract was 233,120, and if you add the 18,000, you get the 252,062.
Correct.
So
Roll
that's
back to
simple.
546.
Yes.
Right, that's the simple math. So why is she saying 246?
Because that takes into effect the credit that was received thereafter.
And the $5,000 of unfinished work.
Right.
My light bulb just went out, I think. I think it did. So the total contract amount is the 252,062. Take the 5,000 out. That was the total contract. Might take the 5,000 out, and you come down to her number, the architect's.
but what are we paying we're paying them
246.
246. And that was on the list of bills, right, that I signed?
Yes.
Makes sense. Anybody have any other questions or comments?
So if you have to hire somebody to do the last $5,000 worth of work, are you going to have to come back to us for approval?
No. If it's $5,000, no, because it's below our bid threshold.
Right, if it doesn't meet the bid threshold, no. Or if it's done in-house, no.
Any other comments or questions? Director, can you please call the vote?
T. Edwards.
Yes.
A. Forbes.
Yes.
B. Reyes. J. Rodriguez.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
M. Testa.
Yes.
C. Vega.
Yes. Resolution number 260611, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to authorize an agreement with the Housing Authority of the City of Jersey City for HQS inspection of HTVP apartments and annual RAD OCAF calculation for Fox Hill Gardens.
Motion.
Second. Director, I know that this is a yearly inspection. It takes place every year. Can you just give some color so people understand?
I sure can.
Thank you.
I sure can. For Fox Hill particularly, we cannot inspect Fox Hill because we manage Fox Hill. And although we operate, we must go out for a neighboring organization to come in, which works well for us. On the Housing Choice Voucher Program, we have about 120 some units out there now. How many units we have?
Section 8 vouchers, we got about 140.
140 now. So we have about 140. It doesn't pay for us to hire an inspector on our own staff. It's just not big enough. We don't get enough income to hire a full-time person. So it really works to take a neighbor who's got a bigger program and say, essentially, can we borrow your inspector to do our 120 a year? So that's what this is about, is us turning to another housing authority, the City of Jersey Housing Authority, Jersey City and Housing Authority, and saying, we'd like to pay your inspector to come and inspect ours. As you see in the contract, $75 inspection, pretty good. Pretty good price. So it's worked well with us. We are having a small refinement this year in making sure that any unit that fails gets a quick re-inspection, timely re-inspection, but we've been very satisfied with them and what they're doing.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
And can you also,
Mr. Edwards?
can you also explain OCAF and how that works, and that impacts the amount of money we get for Fox Hill, correct?
Sure does. Emily, you want to opine on OCAF, on the annual adjustment? Or you say it? She hasn't said anything. I'll jump in if no one else is going to jump in. So once a year we get a calculation from HUD for Brad that says this is how much we will be increased on our subsidy and how much total rent we can get. We need to take a look and prove that that is not making us rich, that is in concert with the rest of the city. So there is a calculation that has to be done that says, if you look at our expenses, what we have to do, the HUD adjustment is within that range. If we come back and say, look, your OCAF is too rich, they may decrease it. Now, if we come back and say it's not enough, they're not going to increase it. But one of the two. So they do that calculation outside of us. So it's a more honest calculation, is the idea, without counting bridges.
And it's only for Fox Hill?
Yes.
And what was it this year?
I have the slightest idea. Does Yesenia or, no, I don't have that in the back pocket.
And Director, this is for the RAD program, right?
Yes.
Because it's separate from public housing.
Correct.
Right, so this is for her. This needs to be done every year.
Yes.
And so it's money from, it's an increase from which time period? Is it the calendar year or is it the fiscal year?
It's going to be the calendar year because HUD operates on the calendar year.
Is it for 26 or 27?
So we're going to need to split from, it's going to be, when they do the new calculation, it will take effect on January 1st, 2027.
3 months after we've already come up with a budget and calculated the numbers.
That's right. And that's the way HUD's been operating. They changed to a yearly operating fund, and we have, our fiscal year starts October 1, so we're always got this gap. And then, of course, when they do their budget, the question is, when do they tell us how much money we're going to get anyway? And that's not necessarily on January 1st. Often in June or July. So we're running blind often.
If you don't mind, Director, can you report back next month on the last 2 years of,
okay,
for
Be glad to.
Thank you,
Be glad
sir.
to.
We appreciate it.
Sure.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
So the effective date of start of this is June 1.
Yeah, that's the start date to continue our contract with them. They don't necessarily work for us every day, every week. So we all took a look and said, oh, contract's up. Let's get back together.
This is an existing contract, just a renewal.
It's actually a new contract, not a renewal of the old, but you're approving a new contract. And it's intergovernmental, so it doesn't have all the bidding requirements and everything that other contracts might have.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments? Director, call the vote, please.
D. Edwards.
Yes.
A. Forbes.
Yes.
B. Reyes. J. Rodriguez.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
M. Testa.
Yes.
C. Vega.
Yes.
So now we are on to new business. Anybody have any questions or comments for the director or anything else from the report? Anybody, any feedback, anything? First, I'd like to say thank you to the staff and the director for all your hard work. Congratulations. It has been, I know, a tumultuous few years. It is not hard, it is not easy work. You do it every day. You come in at 2 in the morning, we see you. We're not perfect, but we strive to be better every day. It takes all of us around the table to do it, so thank you to the commissioner as well for your time and dedication. And we were just at the conference in Chicago and talking about the why and making sure people tell your stories. Because it's very important to have self-sufficiency and to get people to a better spot. That's why that is why I'm sitting here, to make sure the next generation can have better opportunities, more opportunities with a college degree, better job opportunities, anything to make people's lives better. And that's why we're here. So if you have any suggestions, we welcome them. The chair asked everybody to write one goal for themselves and present to her on the 30th. So please follow up with Barbara if you have any questions, concerns in that. But thank you very much to the staff. It is not, give them a round of applause, please. It is not easy work. You're badgered with complaints all day, and which of course you have to address, but just come in your office and do the work on top of all the other things takes a lot, so thank you again. And we'd like to thank everybody who was involved with the Southwest Festival. Councilman Ruben Ramos and his entire team. Community Lifestyle, Jennifer Delgado, there were many other people that I am forgetting. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. That is what Hoboken is about. Taking everybody from all parts of Hoboken and showing off the housing authority, showing off our property, showing and saying that there are amazing things that are happening, with Amazing Truth Society. Come join us at bingo. Come join us for Winter Wonderland. Maybe we need more opportunities and bring people here. Have the Girl Scouts come planting. Hudson United Tenants is working in Fox Hill and planting together. Only do we meet forward together. So thank you. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
Happy Father's Day.
Yes.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh yeah, that's right. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Does anyone else close the meeting? Any other concerns? No? Close?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Motion, meeting closed. Thank you.
Thank you all.